All right, so for our viewers, we have Lauren with us today as our volunteer to get a organizational NPI filed. So a lot of you have had questions about this. So we're on Lauren's screen. She has signed in where she's supposed to. And you see there are three options here at the top. Apply for an NPI for self, which we already have. Most of us as mental health professionals already have this. Applying for someone else. And then at far right side, apply for an NPI for an organization. That's our sweet spot where we want to go first. So the note here, this is good for viewers also, if you're a sole proprietorship, which a lot of people are traditionally, and then they move with a CPA into like an S Corp or a limited liability company, this is something to be aware of. So anyone who's a sole proprietorship would not fit for an organizational NPI. Lauren, can you speak to what your organization is filed as currently?
An LLC.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and say of those two options at the top, I guess we are an employee of the provider at this point. The best option. Okay, so your employee identification number is your business EIN. So if you have that handy, plug that in. And then that is the organizational subpart. You have to answer yes or no to that. So
is the parent EIN same as subpart?
So this EIN is specific to your business name. So there probably isn't another subpart at all, right? So I had multiple locations where I'd have a subpart. You have one location, correct?
Yes, correct.
So we'll actually hit no for both of these.
Okay.
And then hit save to see if it'll show up. Unless it wants something in that box first.
In here, Kara?
It doesn't look like it's required.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't? Okay.
So I'd leave that and just see if it'll save it. Title and position, you're the owner of the practice.
Okay.
Okay. So it's just telling us we could save it as we go along, but so far so good. Okay, so now we're on to address. So we're going to add in some information about the business mailing address and practice location.
I'm just putting my home address because I don't have an office right now.
And you can actually click that box saying that is a home office, or excuse me, home address.
Okay. And I can always change that down the road?
Absolutely. Okay. So you can always log back in here and update information as you go, which is the good part of having a login.
Okay.
Okay, and then practice location. I don't believe there's going to be a telehealth option here, but you can click whatever is most appropriate in this moment.
Okay.
You can always update this later for folks that are watching this and figuring out where their address could be. Okay, so now it looks like it's showing the practice location there below. So there's the edit pencil and then the delete if needed. But if that looks good to you, you can probably scroll down.
This is where I got stuck.
Yes, this is so painful. Okay, so for our viewers, how do I explain this? So our endpoint type, let's go ahead and look at that drop down to get us some inspiration here. So for most of us, this is about how information is being exchanged. So for a lot of us, we're using an electronic health record, which is required and also very helpful to us as mental health professionals. So none of these are super intuitive. Let's go ahead and use a connect URL and see what happens. And then what's the little information point at the endpoint say? Okay, so where things can be sent and received. So we're gonna go ahead and put in simple practice if that's your EHR or whatever your EHR might be. And then the description, you can put in electronic health record. And that should be something they accept. We're going to find out. Endpoint use looks like a drop down there. Oh, I guess those aren't required. So maybe you can leave that blank if you'd like.
Is it affiliated with another organization?
Well, Civil Practice is affiliated with lots of them, but not for the purpose of your application. So just one for the purpose of your group practice. Okay. Endpoint location drop down.
My home address.
Okay. Let's go ahead and try that.
It worked.
Perfect. So for viewers, to explain this a little further, they just want to know that because this is a medical and mental health system, they want to know that we're doing our best to protect protected health information, but also HIPAA. So that's why they asked this question. It's just not super helpful to us, like no one explained it. So this is what I put into my application 6 times over. This is what Lauren's putting in, and we can continue to the next. Okay, so issuer, drop down here. Let's see. So other would be non-Medicare or Medicaid. So for our viewers who are going to see this video later, for those of you who are planning to be Medicaid providers, you would have picked the first option and then specify, let's see here, if you don't have such numbers, you're not required to obtain them. So for the purpose of private pay, do you want to put in your individual NPI here? There you are.
I updated this, but for some reason it's not updated. But
it might take a couple days. They're kind of slow on the back end sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, specify NPI, right?
Mm-hmm.
State.
So for our viewers who are Colorado Medicaid providers, they would put in, they'd have the different option. And okay, looks like that's been added. Okay, so this piece is familiar to people who are Medicaid folks about single specialty versus multi-specialty. So in this case, Lauren, in your background, you're building a wellness center. So I would encourage you to pick multi-specialty, and then taxonomy should fit what your NPI had. So if you want to go back to your NPI lookup screen, that far window, you can look up your taxonomy that's associated. So if you scroll down, taxonomy is that bottom box. So we're going to type in 101Y and it should auto-populate.
101Y, okay.
And you can do the little search button there at the top.
You want me to type it in completely?
Sure, if that'll take it. Usually it populates, so you don't have to memorize it.
Sorry.
Weird form. So save. We'll scroll down and make sure it's populating in the bottom box. Yep, looks good. And then contact information, of course, is you as the owner of the practice.
Right, is that okay?
And then, it looks like that bottom box contact person is myself. There it goes. I was gonna say, something should auto-populate here for you.
Great.
Okay, so now we're looking at the final check to make sure it's all good to go before you hit submit. So it looks like no errors found in the sections that we filled out today. So we should be able to save and return to main page, next. Yep.
Next, okay.
Okay, so that you basically are saying, I verify this is true and accurate to what I do, who I am, the business itself. Okay, so for viewers, once you hit the submit, you get a tracking number, which Lauren, I would encourage you to screenshot this or save a PDF of it. And then you should get an email notification when it goes through. Perfect. So from here forward, there should be an email coming into your inbox within the next couple days, maybe up to 10 days, depending on how bogged down they are. But it should tell you the status of your application, and you can always log back in here to see what's going on or to make the changes they might require.
Great.
And that's it. So for viewers, this is a step that's vital to anyone who's going to create a group practice and work with Medicaid, which, Lauren, thank you for being my volunteer in this. I know you're a private pay clinician and you have a group practice you're building, and this is not quite as applicable as it is to Medicaid folks, but hopefully it's going to help set you in the right direction for everything being affiliated with the group. So thank you for being my volunteer.
Thank you.